Hello everyone, Leonardo Cornejo here, bringing my views on a topic I wanted to talk about for a while, and well, it's basically my perspective as an author, as a writer, of the evident symbolism of relationships between men and women nowadays in Zootopia. To be more precise, the fact that the carnivores represent white men. Officially, the creator said it was about discrimination in general. There was no symbol, there was no demographic. That's why they used animals, because they wanted to make it about anyone can be discriminated. But the film itself shows a very different perspective, and I want to explain why. It can be interpreted, validly interpreted, as the carnivores representing white men and the herbivores representing women. No joke. It is basically white men. The reason is many say for several reasons that the carnivores represent black people. The only reason it doesn't make sense is because that will be getting rid of the political context of the United States, both right now and in the past, and especially in the past. I will use 3 examples. First of all, you have 3 relevant carnivores for my argument, who are this cheetah police officer who basically represents a homosexual man. I am going to admit, this is my interpretation, there is no such thing as coding or all that, but I am backing my interpretation with an explanation. I want to just say, oh, but he's coded. Bullshit. No. The reason I think he represents a homosexual man is because of his speech pattern and his behavior. First of all, he's a carnivore who is always eating only donuts. We never see him eating meat. If we are referring to carnivores as representative of men, especially white men, he's not acting like one. Second, the way he acts and speaks shows a very feminine male. And finally, he's obsessed with imitating a herbivore woman. Obsessed with her in a, how to say, non-carnivore way. So basically, he's not like the other carnivores, he's not like the other men. Therefore, you could say he's symbolic of homosexuality in general. Or at least of herbivore men. A herbivore man. Yeah, he's not the average male. He's not the male who craves for women. He's not the carnivore who craves for meat. The next part of the symbol is Nick. Why? Because he says something that has been repeatedly mentioned by men nowadays, especially in circles like MGTOW. If they are going to say, I am the bad guy anyway, why should I care about breaking the law? If they are going to treat me like a criminal anyway, why should I care about not being a criminal? And of course, he's not a dangerous criminal. He's a con artist. He doesn't go around killing others or anything. He's a con artist. He's also not trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to get by, and since people, well, animals in this case, treat him like shit for being a carnivore, he will do whatever he wants. He doesn't care at all about following the norms. There is also another analogy because he's a fox, and it adds to the fact that he's male and a carnivore, that his friend in the story is a female, a herbivore, and a rabbit. The symbolism of the fox eating the rabbit, and instead he's trying to treat her like a friend. In fact, it hurts him when she goes full feminist and betrays him. No joke. She actually is an analogy of a woman too. That's where the next part I'm going to explain. The mayor is a lion. He has political power. It is shown that carnivores have political power and that the only herbivores who have it are the big ones. Even the small carnivores, like shrews, whatever they were the mafia. They had power, but the only herbivores with power were those who are large enough, for example, those shown in the police force. Those are actually the black people, because they are still a minority group. But they are a minority group with influence, and they do not represent women in this case. These large herbivores who are treated with respect, who are treated with power, but they do not have political power. That's where the funny part is at. The small herbivores are mostly shown as females. There is Gazelle, who is a celebrity, and this is the interesting part because these are women in position of power. They also have power, they also have authority, but they think everyone looks at them as inferior. You have Gazelle, who is a celebrity, female, and she's the subject of adoration of many, both herbivores and carnivores. And most of her dancers are carnivores, which is weird and funny at the same time, because it is again the symbol of these are males and this is a female, because her dancers are male carnivores. Then you got Judy, who is a female police officer and also a rabbit, again the symbol of a female. And while the major is a male lion, a male carnivore, his right hand is a female sheep, who is a diversity hire. He makes it clear from the start that she is there only to show that carnivores are not treating herbivores like shit. She's there as a diversity hire, and she's the villain. She's a fucking feminist. That's the symbol. Bellwether is a feminist. No other way around. She's constantly conspiring, acting behind the back of the major to make sure all carnivores are seen as the bad guys. She takes over after she manages to make everyone dislike the major, because the major is behind what is going on, because, well, he's a male. It's about blaming men. That's where the symbol is at. And the fact that the symbol is all these carnivores go crazy and they will attack herbivores. What do feminists say about men? What do feminists say about us? And it is white men, because of the political power part. Because even though nowadays, it is true, nowadays, a black guy could be a mayor in any relevant American city. They mentioned that carnivores had power for centuries. And if we go back centuries ago, the idea of a black president would have been unthinkable. Even shortly after World War II, the idea would have been like, that's not gonna happen. And then we had Obama, who was a terrible president, if you ask me as a Mexican. From my perspective as a Mexican, he was not very respectful to our people, even though he pretended he was. He was more show than person. So I don't really have a high opinion on him, but this is not a matter of race. In fact, when he got elected, I thought, well, America is doing better because they elected their first black president. That was a good thing. That was a good thing. Someone who in the past would have been unthinkable to get elected, got elected. But his second term was awful. Anyway, not very related. The thing is, they mention carnivores had been the ruling class for centuries. It is easy to assume that means if Zootopia is symbolic of large American urban regions, that's symbolic of white men. White men have been in power in America for centuries. The presidents and mayors of most of America prior to the end of World War II were white men, the vast majority at least. And you have this little tiny demure diversity hire who gets into politics for being a herbivore, and only for that. And you got Judy, who is trying her best to prove she can be a good cop, because everyone thinks she's less skilled for being a herbivore, because she's small and weak. That's the girl who tries to get in the force and does her best, because otherwise everyone will see her as a diversity hire. That's it. Judy is the one who doesn't want to be a diversity hire. And then there is this part. The part where Judy basically says, yes, all men. When she is asked on camera if she thinks all carnivores are dangerous to herbivores, and in front of Mick, in the most fucking heartbreaking way, in the most traumatic way, she says yes. Yes, all men. Yes, all carnivores. And that's her friend, her co-worker, some interpret it as a sheep, so let's say her boyfriend. Let's consider a little bit for the sake of the theory. Looking at her, saying all men are pigs, all men are dangerous, all men are rapists, all carnivores are dangerous and will go crazy. And then you get to the part where she realizes she fucked up, where she realizes there are things she's not understanding about all this, that all the things she said because being a herbivore influenced her were unfair. And that's when they discover the conspiracy. Bellwether was using drugs, which is also why many argue it is about black men, because of some incidents in America of exactly that, black men getting drugged by the CIA. Fucking sickening, man. That's why people hate America. I mean, if there is something people hate about America, it's not the America of the Founding Fathers. The Founding Fathers were awesome. This crap America, this authoritarian America, which is the result of the Soviet Union interfering, fucking shit, man. Whatever. But the thing is, if you go to the drug they are using not as a symbol of drugs, but as a symbol of social manipulation, as a symbol of media manipulation, you can see it. It is not black men. It is men, white men, who are shown by feminists as the bad guys, who are constantly displayed whenever they misbehave, and feminists make sure that bad things happen, that there are bad men out there, so that they can excuse their actions. Just like Bellwether did, using that drug to make all the carnivores she could go crazy, for the sole purpose of oppressing the carnivores in a revenge move. And that's another part. The only group which is called oppressors, of which everyone wants to take revenge, of which everyone wants to oppress out of revenge, is white men. Zootopia is about white men being discriminated through feminist manipulation, and about one woman bringing it all down with one man, and facing that fucking feminist and defeating her through trickery. Bellwether is a feminist icon. I am not kidding. Of course, the author, the creator, has the final word. He said, it is about all discrimination. And of course, Disney won't allow what I am saying. But I am saying the truth. I am saying the truth, and I can prove it, because I already laid the evidence. It is a theory. It is an analysis I made as a writer, because I know how symbolism works, because I know how all that stuff works. In fact, I did use symbolism. The reason the main character in my novels, Rua, is a wolf, it's because of my knowledge of wolves, which are more loyal than dogs and are monogamous. I do like animal-eared girls, I do like wolf girls, but I like wolf girls exactly because of that. Because I like loyal people, and I wanted this story about a loyal couple. And loyalty is an aspect, a core aspect of her, both as a person, as a human, and also as a human, and as a werewolf. She is human, genetically speaking. I'm not that much of a furry to say, oh no, she's not human. No, she is a human with magic. It is official, she is genetically human. But I decided, exactly for that purpose, to make her a wolf, and not a cat. Because cats, despite being capable of loyalty, are not known for being loyal. So I know a thing or two about symbols. I know a thing or two about actually making social or political commentary without rubbing it in everyone's face in such a blatant way it bothers people. So instead of using Donald Trump, you use a weird and flamboyant lion. Instead of using the MGTOW movement, you use a con artist fox. Instead of saying this ideology, you show the actions of the ideology without naming it. Instead of saying the Nazis, you make an empire, even nameless, which engaged in genocide against a group from another nation. Instead of fascists, instead of Maoists, instead of the literal Chinese empire, you make the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation is the symbol of an expansionist empire. It is not coincidence. And even you explain the motivations and how it gets corrupted. That was a great thing. In fact, how it is explained that the first Fire Lord was like, oh, but look at the Fire Nation, it is so prosperous, I want to share it with all. And to share this prosperity with all, we invade them. He was well-meaning, but also a fucking tyrant. It is not a coincidence. It is symbolic. As I said, the author has the final word, but that's my interpretation, based on the facts shown on a screen. I am not going to say it is coded or anything. No, I am saying it is a symbol. Look at it. Look at it! It is there! Well, that's it for today. Have a good one. Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avalanche series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.